these, you know, I see where they're trying to pass all this shit where they act like they want to put the shit in the operating system, right? And, so it's like, all right, you don't want me to pay anonymously for stuff. You don't want me to, it's like, I never even used Bitcoin before it got locked down on, even though it's not, government currency. It's like, you don't have any, again, it's all their own fake rules. They want to go against them, right? So you follow the law and all this, and that's not good enough. So supposedly you have the right to trade with your own form of currency that you and whoever else decided on. Well, that's not good enough for them because their excuse, I guess, is because somebody somewhere is going to agree to trade you Bitcoin for what they consider real money. Now they get to steal a part of it. And so now you're a criminal if you try to find a way around that or whatever. And they want to implement this know your customer shit into everything. But the way I said a few times at this point is like, where's the know your statist part of that, right? How about know your comp? I bet you if they wanted to do something like that, the cops would be mad about it, wouldn't they? And then they would say that they can't give their, where the fuck they sleep at night because that would be, about officer safety. And it's like, oh, okay. So you say everyone just having your personal information makes you less safe. So why the fuck do you want mine? Right? If they're going to wall me off from even using YouTube, they're going to try to wall me off from paying for shit. They can pretend whatever narrative they want. The fact of the matter is, if I want to pay for shit off a temporary card or gift card or whatever, is because I'm not interested in having my real cards that are in my name just out there on the fucking internet. And, it's like there's stuff that I might have paid for before where, like, one place I called, I wanted to get an account. And, I was telling them how I would prefer to pay in person with cash. So they're going to know it's me. They're going to have my ID, right? I'm going to be handing them the money, but the point was for me is, can I pay in cash or temporary cards? Because, I don't want to put, real card information online. They said, oh, well, our site is secure. It's like, dude, instantly I knew that this guy had no clue what he was talking about. So I ended up just hanging up the phone. Sorry, forget it. And, that's what it is. It's like you just put the word secure on it and they act like that means something. And the reality is the majority who want to, like, if they want to use a VPN, it's because they want to be able to watch YouTube videos. They just want to arbitrarily pretend you're not allowed to. It's like, I thought the internet was supposed to make everything more open, right? No, it's a fucking government research project. I don't know, DARPA is, that's a corporation or what? Yeah, nice cover, right? The government has never done, never used corporations as a front for government operations and just so they can, act like they're not responsible. That's never happened. Like they censor you via YouTube or Google and act like it doesn't count because that's a corporation. They can do that if they want. Yeah. But I mean, dude, it started specifically as that. So it's like, I guess I should have figured, right? But the average individual, it's like they want to watch a YouTube video in a different country with these bizarre lockouts on YouTube videos. Or if they want to pay with a prepaid card, it's because they want to buy something without their information getting fucking stolen, right? And, you see about data breaches all the time. And, I mean, even I, at a point, was part of a class action because some assholes had a data breach. And then it's like, well, joke's on them. They really don't have anything on me anyway. you know, and but what I loved about it was basically what they do is they give you a little bit of hush money, uh, because part of these class actions apparently is that, um, they're giving you your class. Really, it's them bribing you to not sue them if something like for real happens because of them fucking up, right? And so, and like even last time I went to the doctor, dude, they told me when I got sick, like I'm getting over it, being sick of at this point. I had like a lung infection. And I told him, it's like, can you just print me out whatever y'all did today, can I just have the paperwork? And they're like, no, it's all online now. And it's like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not making an account, signing up. Why do you think you can't just give me the fucking results or whatever the fuck you just did? You know, this paperwork reduction stuff that they do, that's what they call in the US. That is not about saving the planet, because paper is essentially infinitely renewable and causes way less pollution than all their, electronics. The reason is that paper can get lost. It's unless it gets copied, it's in one place, right? The fucking, it could get thrown out by accident, the place could burn down, it could go out of business, and whoever buys the place afterwards throws it away, right? The real reason they want to move everything to digital storage is so they can basically have it forever and hold it over your head forever. And remember, the narrative is that it's about criminals getting away with it. And really it's about you being able to minimize psychopaths and their ability to oppress you. And that's the problem with names and all these other surveillance methods. Even your name is a surveillance device, all right? Tracking device, whatever, you know. The nice thing about screen names on the internet is that, you can make them up, or you used to be able to, right? Like I was watching one of these videos about viruses, a minute ago, and they were talking about apparently there's a vulnerability in Notepad++ through the auto updater. And as I said, it's like, well, dude, common knowledge, 20 years ago was that as soon as you install uh, a piece of software, the very first thing you do is go through all the fucking settings. And one of the things you absolutely want to turn off is fucking auto updates, right? So back when computers, you at least to some degree had, most individuals with computers in the early 2000s, when I showed up, still had some degree of computer knowledge, right? So the common user base understood how to really work with software. And of course, there was a burgeoning consumer market at the time. But it was still mostly what might now be called power users. And so it's just, it was news to me because, you know, Notepad++ I use all the time, but I don't ever use a fucking auto updater on anything, right? Or like it's always what I'm looking for: disabling auto update shit, disabling telemetry and all this other shit. And it's like they can't do this. These man in the middle attack like that is impossible if you just don't run the auto updater, because that's all they did. They basically just redirected the traffic to whatever server they want to sniff your traffic off of. And you know I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, well, dude, I just download them manually, right? I mean, you could do that. The most basic infosec shit nobody does anymore, right? As I said before, I used to use no script, request policy, and ad block because those were modern at the time and shit actually would work. Now you basically just use uBlock, and that's pretty much good enough. But you know, another one I seen this idiot did was trying to pretend XP was unsecure because well, if you connect it to a network, like just straight to the modem, right? So essentially, kind of like if you connected it on a DMZ on a router, well, then it's vulnerable. It's like, well, dude, that's not a problem with XP. That's a problem with you not having a hardware, and software firewall. You do that, and all of a sudden, most of the problem goes away. And then 99% of it was motherfuckers on the internet who will just kind of click on whatever. The only virus I've had in the last 10 years was one that I gave myself because, when Call of Duty Advanced Warfare was new, I downloaded a torrent of it. And stupidly on my behalf, I didn't, I don't run always active stuff. I'll launch Malwarebytes or something and scan a file on a case by case basis. And this time I just didn't happen to do that. So it was like 2014, 2015 or whatever. and I got a Bitcoin mining virus as a result. Well, that's on me, right? If I had just scanned it ahead of time, that wouldn't have happened, right? But like, I don't run antivirus, right? I haven't run antivirus in 20 years. Like, prior to that right there, which was my own stupidity, the only viruses I ever got were on XP, but it was because I didn't know shit about the internet and how it works. And I got Sasser and all the other bullshit, right? But I mean, since then, I don't run antivirus or none of that. But what I noticed is that a lot of these YouTube channels are they're really just there as a way to they have a false, to those who are uninitiated, they give off this air of authority on a topic, and their goal is to funnel you away from software that works. Oh, don't use XP or 7 because it's like this or that. And it's like, no, it gave me control of the system. If I go, like I have Windows 11 now, really through no choice of mine. I just need a new computer, and it's just reinstalling or trying to do something else is just not feasible for me. It's basically like, it is spyware. It's impossible to like disable the antivirus it has. It's impossible to like really fully disable auto update. Even once I found the fix to make it stop force restarting your shit, um, well, it's still doing the silent updates. So there's stuff that, like a few months ago, all of a sudden I stopped being able to connect my computer to Wi-Fi. Now I have to use a Wi-Fi bridge through my phone to be able to use the fucking internet. And of course, the Wi-Fi on my phone drops out every few seconds. And that makes a lot of shit on the modern internet, like, just basically impossible. Like, I'm not going to be able to play online games with this. Even uploading YouTube videos that are 15-minute limited. So they're only several megabytes. That doesn't necessarily, and of course, they don't buffer the upload. Um, Most stuff breaks in that situation, and I kind of don't have any alternatives. Um, but everything is so locked down, and the problem is that it's fakery, right? So, for an example, the Firefox version I use the most for like a year now. They decided that it was outdated, and so they were just going to stop signing the certificate, and that basically has a result of disabling your add-ons. Well, I found a fix that I could put into the developer console, and every 24 hours you have to do it. I wish it was a permanent fix, but I literally, for like a year now, I've had to do it every 24 hours. But now, I'm not a programmer, and I guess it's not really code per se. It's like script or whatever. But I did read through it, and pretty much all the code that I put in the developer console every day says to it is almost literally just, uh, set add-ons working to true, right? Like, it's almost literally some bullshit like that. So what that means is, like, there's nothing stopping that browser from the add-ons just working. It's Firefox changed it to just arbitrarily make them stop working, right? And so one guy I saw in a comment, he was talking about keeping old software alive, because on the verification shift for new operating systems, which I'll never do that either. Oh, we'll keep using old operating systems. It's like, well, dude, the problem is not the OS. The problem is new software comes out that they write specifically not to work on the OS, or they write it to require libraries that themselves don't work on that operating system. But fundamentally, they just arbitrarily chose to not allow that. One of the most, crisis, debacle with it was when people found out that you could get the DirectX 9 features working on Windows XP through a config file change, right? So you didn't really need the newer Windows and drivers and all this shit to make it work. They just arbitrarily didn't let you use it. Now, in that case, it's a little bit simpler of a fix, but it's like modern dating apps. They want to try to charge you for basic functionality like blocking, right? Image downloading, this and that. And I'll continue this in the next